Hello, everyone, and welcome to this installment of Daily Cannon's Tactics Board. Stephen Bradley here with sunlight. I think this might be actually the first time I've done one in the day. Sundays, I work as a producer, Midlands 103, so yeah, getting this done in the middle of the show, so happy days. But yeah, glowing light, glowing performance. Another win. It's getting to the stage where those of us, me, who was very fearful over Arsenal's lack of ability to put a good run of form together, need to start eating some humble pie because Arsenal are starting to put a good run of form together. And yeah, I was fearful at the start of the month that I didn't know where the next win Arsenal were going to get, but here we are at the end of February, and I won't say all is well, but they're starting to put together a series of performances that are rather encouraging. And when you look at the lineup, when you look at the team that was put out, no Tierney, no Tierney's there, so no Bellerin, no Partey, no Ceballos, who after Thursday night you can understand taking out of the firing line, uh, no Odegaard, no Aubameyang, no Saka, no Gabriel, but no problem. It's a very very encouraging win because it just shows that when playing well, Arsenal have exceptional squad depth. And not only when I saw this lineup, I was a little bit scared, but when I saw Leicester's lineup, I thought one of two things is going to happen. Either this midfield is going to be too slow and Arsenal are going to get counter-attacked to ribbons, or this midfield manages to not screw up and Arsenal are able to maintain a level of control over the game. And as with all things, what happened was both. We saw what happened 7 minutes in. Tierney is caught up the field on an attack like he often is. Xhaka is robbed of the ball. Xhaka plays the first 10 minutes very passively, very ponderously, very slowly, like he's not trying to make a mistake. Tielemans robs him of the ball, and Arsenal make the criminal error of leaving it to another man, like they did by what happened with Rob Holding and Hector Bellerin with Raheem Sterling last week. Xhaka was trying to catch Tielemans, but as we know, Xhaka was born with many things. Pace isn't one of them. Mari saw Iheanacho in front of him, said, look, I've got to mark him. David Luiz is keeping, hawk's eye on Vardy like he should. And then he's trying to get back, and they're like, look, Xhaka will take care of it. He'll catch him. And he didn't. And by the time he got anywhere close to him, Tielemans was, within shooting distance of the goal, and it's a fantastic finish, and it's 1-0. And you're like, oh, God. Oh, here we go again. They've made a little mistake. But to Arsenal's credit, that was really the only chance Leicester had in the whole game. And in typical Arsenal fashion, they scored from it. But after that, Arsenal decided that the first 10 minutes were going to be an aberration. That instead of trying to play slowly and trying to be purposeful or too purposeful and get the ball, slowly but surely up to their front four, Arsenal decided that they need to play with pace, that they need to play one touch and just commit and be brave and show a bit of ambition. And for the next 80 minutes, Leicester had absolutely no answer to it. And it didn't matter who was playing centre midfield, whether it was Smith Rowe, Elneny, or Odegaard and Partey when they came on. Because yes, this team featured a number of substitutions from Thursday night, and yes, it might be in terms of the B team in a way. But this team fits. It suits each other. It complements each other. And the way I can illustrate this is by the following. You look at Leicester's, in essence, two right midfielders, Castagna and Ricardo Pereira, who are both exceptional right backs in a back five, but not really in a back four. Like Castagna's a really good right midfielder, and Pereira's a really good right midfielder, and they're both okay right backs. Like if they had either of them in front of someone, say like Wan-Bissaka, great. No one's getting up and down that right hand side at all. But they're not. And as a result, Tierney had almost the freedom of this wing all game long. But when we saw Pepe play here, Pepe likes to come deep for the ball, and Tierney likes to have this space to himself. And they got in each other's way. And even when Saka was playing here against City, Saka also likes coming deep for the ball and just making those runs past the fullback himself. And it just gets in the Scotsman's way. Like, you need to give him free rein to do this up and down. And Pereira wasn't able to keep a hold of him. Castagna wasn't able to keep a hold of him. So Willian, who was decent, I'm not going to go, overboard and say he was magnificent on Thursday night, but he was decent when he came on. And he was decent when he came on because he got out of Tierney's way. His job was to get the ball and do two things. One, either immediately run at Castagna and try and push him back, which is what his one key skill at Chelsea was. He was brilliant at beating a man off a dribble as soon as he got the ball. It's like 5.5 times a game he could do it. He was like second or third in the league. He's brilliant at it. And when he tried to do that, he would draw the attention of the defence upon him. But when Tierney is here, and Pereira is here, and Willian has the ball here, Willian now has two options available to him. He can either beat Castagna himself, or he can give it to Smith Rowe, or he can give it to Xhaka. And over the last couple of months, Willian would look up, size the opposition up, think about it, smoke a cigarette, ponder the meaning of life, and then make his decision. But by that time, the defence had recovered. Against Benfica on Thursday, and especially against Leicester today, he got the ball and it was immediate. He was like, right, okay, I'm going to do something, and attack. Or give the ball to a Lacazette or a Smith Rowe. And what it did was two things. One, it meant that Castagna couldn't stay here at all, because he had to at least be aware of Willian cutting inside as a credible threat. He didn't do it often, but he did it once or twice in the first 15-20 minutes, and that was enough. And then Castagna has to come in here, which means now Pereira and Tierney is 1-on-1, and as we know, Tierney just bombs on. But also, when Willian was passing the ball, he was giving it to Smith Rowe immediately. He was giving it to Xhaka immediately. And that was drawing Castagna forward, because Willian was now coming back with it. Which meant, again, now Tierney gets in. And it just complemented the way Arsenal wanted to play, especially down Arsenal's left. But the main success of Arsenal against Leicester City, was that this was a threat constantly. This was always on. Xhaka and Tierney and Willian were always a threat down the left. They were always able to get moves going and supply crosses or passes into Lacazette and Smith Rowe. But this works okay by itself. When you compare that with the right winger who can beat his left back at will, and that left back is getting no support at all from a left winger who is determined to get behind the full back at all times, suddenly you have a defensive nightmare, because you can't do this to help. You can't compress the pitch into one side to make sure that Pepe can't beat the winger at will because of Tierney and Willian's threat out here. So as a result, because Willian and Tierney are playing so well, Pereira has to stay here, Castagna has to stay here, the two of them, Evans has to, at least recognise the fact that there's a threat. Lacazette is doing his best to, hold up these two. Ndidi and Tielemans have to basically choose between two of three. So it's up to Elneny and Smith Rowe to make sure there's a free man, and then it's Justin Thomas on Pepe. And Pepe was so effective that he should have won a penalty here. It's 50-50. It's one of those ones where it's given half the time, but then wins a penalty himself 10 minutes later. He was so effective here today because of the fact that Leicester couldn't just compress the defence because of Arsenal's threat down the left. And Arsenal knew this. Arsenal were able to exploit this. And when we saw the heat map against Benfica on Thursday, we saw that Arsenal overloaded on the right so that they could get space here. And as you can see, they did it again. But not to the same extent. As you can see, it's very much on the right wing, which is on the right up against the touchline. But you'll see that there's another little line here. And that's because when this is Bellerin, when the right back is Bellerin, Bellerin's inclination is always to do this. Basically to be a copy of Tierney. To get past the back line, get in there and get a crossing. And Tierney's crossing ability is exceptional, which means it's worth it. Bellerin, not so much. He's still a very good player, but he's not the same attacking threat Tierney is. But remember a few minutes ago when I said that Pepe also wants to do this. And as much as he wants a fullback to help, sometimes he just has to get out of the way. And Cedric, to his credit, he just stood here half the time, making sure that Barnes couldn't help defend and that Thomas was left 1-on-1. And Cedric just concentrated on being here and getting the ball to Pepe as quickly as he could, so that Pepe had Thomas 1-on-1 and he could beat him again and again. And again, once that happens, Soyuncu has to come in and Evans has to come in, because you have to credit the threat of coming inside. And Didi has to cover. And then suddenly it's 3-on-2 here. And what Arsenal did brilliantly was they mixed up where they were attacking. So occasionally it'd be right wing. Defence comes this way. One ball over, suddenly it's down here again. And then all Leicester did all game was this. Was rotating back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And like what City did to Arsenal, where Arsenal didn't know where the players were going to be at times, Leicester had no idea where Arsenal were going to be at times, because Lacazette was more than happy to come back, bring these two forward with him, and then Smith Rowe before he got injured, and fingers crossed it's not going to be an extensive one. But when Smith Rowe was replaced by Odegaard, if I can spell it right, there we go. Odegaard did exactly the same thing. He went right wing, like he did against Benfica, and made sure that there was always an overlap here. That the defence couldn't just sit as a back four and then Tielemans and Ndidi. And then when Thomas was subbed off at half time, Pereira was playing left back for a bit. They brought on Mark Albrighton, and then Harvey Barnes went off, and then Pereira ended up back here, and it was a mess. It was an absolute mess for Leicester. They had no idea where Arsenal's attack was coming from, because Willian, Tierney, Lacazette, Odegaard and Pepe did a carbon copy of what City did to Arsenal. They made sure that Leicester couldn't pick up their man, because they had no idea whether Willian was going to go here or here. They knew Tierney was going to go wide, but they couldn't scoot over to help, because then Pepe is in. And it was a quality response. It was a fantastic response by players who on Thursday night weren't called upon, especially from Pepe. I said at the end of Thursday's video, I was wondering what his response was going to be, because when needing goals to save Arsenal's season, he wasn't called upon at all. Yet here he is. I know Willian was given man of the match, but I thought Pepe was man of the match. You know, like when this team decides that it needs to play with purpose and with pace and with tempo, it's brilliant. And, you know, Xhaka is a prime example of this. When he's in the mood, when he's, you know, feeling it, for want of a better word, he knocks the ball straight here, straight here, straight here all the time, keeping the tempo high. It's when he takes the foot off the gas, everything slows down, Arsenal slow down, and they're easily defended. But when Leicester line up like this, Xhaka goes, grand, no bother, I'm not gonna let my lack of athleticism affect me. I'm just gonna sit back. I look at his heat map himself. You'll see he's there a bit, but he's there a lot. You know, and this is despite Arsenal having the ball a lot here. Like it's not a case of Xhaka being Xhaka and pushing forward constantly, and then his lack of pace, catches him out. Xhaka was perfectly, you know, happy just to sit back and knock the ball quickly to Odegaard, because he knew the ball would get to Pepe and to Lacazette and to Willian. And that's what happened for the third goal. When Lacazette picks the ball up here, first Lacazette takes it off, and first thing he does is gives it to Pepe. Immediately, bang, straight to Odegaard, bang. Willian immediately runs in, bang. And then the whole of the defence is caved in because they see Willian, and there's Pepe sitting on his Todd going, oh, I'm unmarked. It's a tap in, it's 3-1, the game's over. This is what is starting to build a little bit at Arsenal, where they're starting to realise that they have to play with pace, that they have to play with tempo, that they have to play with a conviction, that they can't just take their time. Because, yes, they're going to lose the ball a lot more than they want to. But this Arsenal team, when on form, is capable of very good things. And Leicester City were third in the league. Yes, they lost to Slavia Prague on Thursday night, but it's a good side. It's a very good side. Like, they're better than us. Yet, we made them look very, very ordinary today. And that's where it shows. 15 fouls to 3. Leicester City, a side that everyone credits with being, energetic and powerful and catching teams in the counter-attack, couldn't keep up with us. So this is the kind of performance that makes you stand up and go, yeah, okay, I want Mikel Arteta to show me something. I want Mikel Arteta to show me that this team is going places, that there's green shoots of progress, that they can do something significant in the league in the next couple of years if given enough time and the right players. And I sat here a month ago and I looked at the Leeds game, the Benfica games, the City games, the Leicester game, and I suspected that they wouldn't win any of them. Such was their poor form after the Wolves game and the Villa game, where they were abject. Well, second half of the Wolves game. The first half of that game was very good, and then we all know what happened. But there were, a lot of mixed bag performances. Poor against Palace, poor in the FA Cup game against Southampton, poor against Manchester United, very poor against Villa. Like, you were struggling to see where's the progress being made. 4-0 up. Missed a sitter, should have won. City. 2 of the worst goals you'll ever concede in your life, and yet still came back to win 3-2. And then I've just beaten a team that everyone thinks is going to be in the Champions League next year. And then you've got Burnley next, who just lost 4-0 home to 4-0 away to Tottenham. Then it's Olympiacos. Yes, Olympiacos play well, but they should be favourites to win that. Tottenham, anything. Then it's West Ham away. West Ham again, who were playing well. Then Liverpool. And you're like, okay, there's 2 really hard games. But after that, like, where are the hard games? Like, they're as bad as much as I said a month ago that this looked like a bad run of form. I will hold my hands up. Completely wrong. There's a chance for Arsenal to go on a run here. And with a week off, with a little bit of time to, rest fresh legs, get a little bit of training in, get players, up to speed, like Odegaard, give them another week to get used to the way Arsenal want to play. Hopefully Smith Rowe doesn't miss too much time. And you've got Gabriel, Bellerin, Saka, Aubameyang. Partey will have another week of training in him. A month ago, I was not very optimistic about this team at all. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was a little bit too hasty. Maybe I should have given it more time. But yeah, this is more encouraging. This is much more like it. This is showing progress that Arsenal are indeed on the right way, and fingers crossed it continues. If you did enjoy this video, please, very much appreciate it if you left a like, a comment, or if you want to see more of these popping up in your inbox on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We'll have these out every day. There's an Arsenal game on. And yeah, we will talk to you next time. Good luck.